Welcome to the Monday Brain Dump. Today, I'm lucky enough to be able to shoot this with a partner. This is Brad Wolfson. He's the owner of Soulcraft in Hamden. A lot of you guys know Brad already. And today I'm showing sweeps against a standing opponent from the guard. I'm going to start simple with some of our very basic stuff. And I'm going to work, this is actually going to be a 2-week unit. So I'm going to do some this week and some next week. And it's all going to be about this, sweeping a standing opponent. We have basics, and then we have some of the like blue to purple sweeps, which are supposedly more intermediate. All of these are simple moves that all you guys can do, and they come straight from the Pager Sauer curriculum. So let's jump right in with our first sweep against a standing opponent. One of the first sweeps that we learn against a standing opponent, against the opponent that first stands up in our guard, is the double ankle sweep. So when Brad stands up, I'm going to hold on to his Achilles tendons right here, open my legs, drop my butt to the floor, and with weight on my legs, which kind of pushes him away, and with my knees together as a battering ram, and I'll show you that angle too, I extend upwards, and I make Brad fall over. So if Brad wants to stand up, with his ankles out of reach, this would be a real problem for me, and honestly, more people stand up kind of this way than giving me their feet. I think most of us who do jiu-jitsu a little bit know that that would be a mistake. But one thing that we can do as the bottom guy is when he's on his knees and he goes to stand up, is I can be using my core muscles so that the only way he can stand up is to put his foot near me. So there is no stepping back over there.
I have to be close.
Yeah, when I pull with my heels, either with my knees to my chest, or if I bite with my heels and I pull his hips, like the bulk of his hips toward me, it's gonna be very hard to stand up with his ankles out of reach. So that's how we do ourselves a favor when we're on the bottom here, just to put his ankles in reach. So one more time, he gets up. I'm sort of pulling and making it hard. He has to put his foot near me, right into my hands, right into my evil clutches. Knees together. I'm gonna knock him over here. The position we land in is one that's gonna be a little bit awkward to get up from, and it's also one where I'm possibly exposed, as we know now, to leg locks and stuff like that. So I'm gonna show you 2 ways to get up from this position. First way that I learned to get up from this position after knocking somebody over was to get up to my hand. So if you picture a square on the ground around us, I'm sort of at the back left corner here. My hand, I make sure to get my knee to the floor, and now my hand hops to the front left corner. I'm gonna hold Brad's head, and then I'm also gonna use this hook back here to hold onto his leg to pull myself the rest of the way to a standard mount. So the whole thing would look like this here. Brad stands in my guard. I get the Achilles, open my legs, put my knees together for a battering ram, and I'm gonna extend away. He falls, I'm gonna put my hand down, knee down, grab his head, it's just off frame, but grab his head here, and then pull myself into a full mount. The other option we have to get up when we knock our person over with a double ankle sweep is this here. This takes care of the fear of leaving your feet in sort of their clutches, right? So he stands near me. If I'm gonna use my knees as a battering ram and knock him over, there's gonna be a point of no return. This is an important point to understand in every sweep, because sometimes when we reach the point of no return, there's something for us to do. That's gonna be true for a few of these sweeps. And in this sweep, it's gonna be this. When I reach the point of no return, he's falling, I'm gonna retract my legs back out, take them right back out. So I'll be pushing him until I take my legs back out, and I'm only gonna take them back out when he's already fallen. Kind of pull Brad so he's got to step near me. I use the battering ram, and then I pull my feet back out. I put them inside, and those of you that know some leg lock stuff know that my feet being inside of his legs is a way safer place for my legs to be. So it's another option when you take the person down, just to get your legs out of there. If you do this, if you retract your legs and they fall backwards, I would recommend folding them not only to your feet on the floor, but laying one down so that you can get up across it. We do this motion in warm-ups where we get up like this. And that's what I would do. I would knock the person over and retract one leg so that you can get up over that knee. And that's another good way to get up. This time you'll be inside their guard instead of pulling yourself all the way to mount, but it's possibly safer for your feet against a knowledgeable opponent. The last variation on the double ankle sweep that I'll show you guys also addresses the possible fear of leaving your feet in their evil clutches. And this is probably the safest of all of them in terms of not letting them catch your foot under their armpit. And it's this one here. I'm pulling Brad toward me so he stands up close. Okay, And now, instead of this shape battering ram where I have my knees against his belly, I'm gonna open my legs wide and I'm gonna push his shins. It still knocks him over, but now my feet are kind of nowhere near his armpits, right? And it's a safer possibly way to do that. I would get up the same way. I would roll up, over one leg and get up, and you'd be in the guard here. But by pushing his shins when I hold his heel, still knocks him over, but it does not leave my feet in his armpits. We have another sweep called hook sweep from guard. Pedro Sauer calls it hook sweep from guard, and that I know more affectionately as knee, ankle, hip. I feel like knee, ankle, hip is a good description of what we do when we hit this sweep, and it's gonna be this here. For the knee, ankle, hip sweep, when Brad stands, I'm gonna leave my hips on the floor. I'm gonna control one leg at the top and bottom. That's the hip and the ankle. And I can move Brad around, but I need this one to stop him from being able to catch himself. This isn't just nestled behind his knee. I actually create a good hook here, and I'm pulling while I push with the other one, while I pull with my hand. Now this will knock Brad over at a distance, and I can get up inside of his guard. I get up into a double under personally. But there is another way that you can take the person down. And it's better. When Pedro Sauer does this sweep from guard, he handles the actual takedown and his placement of his opponent on the ground differently. So the way that I just took down Brad left some distance between us. In a way that works to my advantage. I can get up to guard and fight my way under his legs, possibly for a double under. Pedro Sauer maintains much more of a connection, and he has his opponent land closer to him. So let's look at that. When Brad stands, I control the top and bottom of one leg, and I'll control one sleeve or his collar, and I'll pull him over me. I want his upper body over me. I'm gonna lift his hip with this foot now. This isn't just a push him over foot anymore. This is a pick him up foot. Pick him up enough that I can pull this foot into my armpit. So I pick him up, pull this into my armpit, and when Brad falls here, it immediately, I'm still connected to his hip, it immediately puts my knee on the floor. And with a grip on his upper body, either on the collar or on the sleeve, I can pull myself up again to mount. Brad gets up, I control the ankle and the hip, I get this hook behind the knee, and I pull Brad over me and I lift with this foot. This time I'm trying to lift his hip high enough to pull his foot into my armpit. So I lift Brad up and I pull this over so that when I hit the ground, my knee immediately is on the ground. Now this foot you'll notice is quote unquote in his guard a little bit, but my knee has passed his hip line, so it's gonna be easy to just take that out and pull myself up to a regular mount. The third sweep we're gonna look at is the sickle sweep. And the sickle sweep is a good follow-up to the hook sweep. Sometimes you'll go for it on its own. I'm gonna show one way that it connects to the hook sweep that we just did, the knee, ankle, hip sweep. So when Brad stands, I'm gonna set up as if for the knee, ankle, hip sweep. I'm gonna go to the totally control one leg, create a hook here. Now sometimes a person gets a hold of my foot and stuffs it down. So let's say I don't have your hook, yep. And exactly with the C grip, he'll push it down. Okay, now I no longer control the top and bottom of that leg, but I'd like to reestablish that connection. So I use my other leg for that purpose. I put this foot on the hip instead. Now again, I control totally one side, and I just need to prevent him from being able to step back here. So I'm gonna turn on my side a little bit and just catch his leg with this here. And you have a lot of power here. It will not take much to knock your person over. In fact, you could really launch somebody because this is obviously a very strong set of muscles. So with your training partners, no need to go crazy kicking them over, but this is a very powerful sweep. So one more time, the sickle sweep off the knee, ankle, hip sweep is gonna be here. I start as if for the knee, ankle, hip sweep, but he stuffs my foot. When he stuffs my foot, I lose one of my assets, which was control over this leg at the bottom and top. So I wanna reestablish that. I use the other foot for that, and I put that on top. And this foot that he's pushing down, I just redirect it a little bit so that it's now behind his leg here. That's the place where I catch his foot so he can't step back. And then he falls, and again, I usually most often get up into a place of safety, which is both my arms underneath his legs, so I don't get armbarred or triangled for my trouble getting into his guard. Now we're gonna take a look at the handstand sweep. The handstand sweep it's a cool sweep because I never have to open my guard in order to hit the sweep. And so a person can stand in my closed guard, I can remain closed, and still knock them over. And let's take a look at what that looks like. So Brad's in my guard, I've got a closed guard. He's holding my lapel. And when he stands, I'm gonna underhook one leg. So underhook with my hand, go right inside, bring yourself close. And the other hand, I'm gonna turn over and I'm gonna actually do what looks like sort of a handstand. I thought this maybe looked acrobatic first time I saw it. It's actually just for a little more height. I could probably just push against his inner thigh with my hip and knock him over, but I will get more height when I use my hands, so it is a worthwhile thing to do. Now, Pedro Sauer, when he knocks over his opponent, he catches the sleeve when he gets to that point of no return. So like I said earlier, sometimes the point of no return, there's something for us to do. And this is that. Handstand sweep is, I'm trying to open his knee up backwards, and while I'm holding his ankle, he'll fall. I'm gonna catch the sleeve as we fall and use it to get myself up, and then I sort of, looks almost like a hip bump sweep to turn him a little bit, like 90 degrees. One more time on the handstand sweep. Brad stands, I underhook and bring myself close on one side. I use my hand on the mat to help get a little more height for my hips, and I push him over, catch his sleeve as we fall, and use that to pull myself on top. Okay, let's take a look at the star sweep. Star sweep is one of the fancier looking sweeps against a standing opponent, but it's really kind of just a single leg. It's just that I have to do a back shoulder roll to get there. So when Brad goes to stand up, he's got my lapels, he stands up. I'm gonna underhook his leg. And in this case, you can even use your hand like we did in the handstand sweep, but I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna kick this leg all the way in a big circle. I'm gonna look over my shoulder, look over my left shoulder, and that's the side I'm gonna roll over. So it's just a shoulder roll. When I land here, my forearm is behind his heel, and I use my upper body to pick up this leg. The way that Pedro Sauer follows through is he picks it up, switches arms, and comes into a side mount here. I stands up, reach underneath, my leg goes in a circle. I look where I'm going, and I do a shoulder roll. I pick up his leg, switch grips, so I switch to the other leg, and then collect my side mount from there. I'm gonna underhook the leg the same way, and I personally prefer the star sweep with a grip too. So I'm gonna hand off his sleeve to my other hand, and if I can get this sleeve, I got his posture now broken. Yeah.
And then when I pull.
And when he pulls.
Yeah. And then I'm already falling over because you got the grip. You barely even need the leg.
Yeah, because of this grip, which I still have, there's no way for him to prevent himself from being rolled over backwards. So you can do this with and without the grip. I prefer it when you can get the grip. Another sweep that shows up against a standing opponent, shows up in our Pedro Sauer blue to purple curriculum, is the leg pinching sweep. And this sweep works this way. When Brad stands up, I'm gonna keep the crease in my knee, go ahead, in contact with his legs. So I don't open my legs, I just slide down, still connected, and then I'm gonna cross my feet here, and I use my abs to pull him forward and catch himself on the ground. Once he's caught himself on the ground, I hug his legs, and I'm gonna roll to get on top. If I can keep a grip on his legs, this is sort of ideal. If I can keep a grip on his legs here, that's ideal. When I hit the ground here though, it's not always gonna be an easy slog to get to mount. So my head will be on one side. When I reach for the armpit material and climb my way up, it's definitely possible that your person's gonna give you resistance with hands on your shoulders or head. But if you switch sides with your head, it's gonna be hard for them to keep a bead on just how to keep you away. If you stay square and they can push with two hands, that's one thing. But if you're switching sides, it's gonna be another move. Two more time. So once again, the leg pinching sweep. Brad stands up. I cross my legs behind his knees and I'm pulling him forward. I can use my hands in his armpits if it helps launch him up. I'm gonna hug around his legs. You can roll either direction. I lost my hooks here as I got up. Okay, so then as I climb the body, he may put his hands on my head or shoulders, but if I switch sides, it's very hard to keep control over me. And I'm going climb my way all the way up to a regular standard mount. Now, one thing that can happen when you're doing this move that I've noticed that has happened to us in class is that you might get someone who, you've got their legs and their hands are on the ground and you can't quite roll them either direction because they have just very good base on their hands. If that happens, don't forget, their back is essentially exposed. You can just roll yourself out from under them and take their back. Let me just see if I can show you what that looks like. All right. So if Brad catches himself on his hands here when I do this leg pinching sweep, right? Like cross my feet, I send Brad north, I wrap the legs, and his base is so good in both directions that I can't really roll him. Well, his hands are so committed up here that it's okay for me to throw my legs and move myself out the back door and get up and come and take the back. If he's gonna be so committed to not getting knocked over, well, it's the same thing as having a sort of an open, bad turtle. I'm just gonna get out from behind him and wrap around and take the back. So don't worry if you can't roll the person, you can still take their back when you get up. The last sweep against a standing opponent that we're gonna look at is the overhead sweep or balloon sweep, or it's sort of a tomonagi, where Brad's got his grips on my collars, and when he stands up, I'm gonna grip his sleeves, and I'm gonna put my feet on his hips. My hips never came off the ground, I just dropped my feet. From this position here, it's not about pushing with my feet. I actually wanna pull him so he's over me and then lift with my feet. He's gonna go over one of my shoulders, and if I stay connected and just do a shoulder roll, I should end up on top like I just did. Brad's gonna stand up. I'm not even gonna follow with my hips. My feet are just gonna drop. I'm controlling his sleeves here. My feet are in the hips. And now it's not about pushing with my feet. I just wanna get his center of gravity over me and then lift with my feet. He's gonna do a shoulder roll. My feet are still connected to his hips. And I basically roll up right here to a standard mount. Okay guys, those are some of our basic sweeps against a standing opponent. When somebody stands up in our guard, those are ways for us to sweep them over. Again, this is gonna be a 2-week unit. Next week I'm gonna talk about De La Riva sweeps, and I'm gonna talk about caterpillar guard. It's the guard that I use the most, sort of a modified reverse De La Riva. So stay tuned. These videos are here forever for you to review. So check them out anytime. Thanks for attending the Monday Brain Dump. These are the moves I'll be doing in the morning workouts, in the workouts of the day, which are 10-minute workouts with some upper body, lower body, core and cardio, and a jiu-jitsu move. This week we'll do moves from this series. And these are the moves that we'll cover in live class as well this week. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for being here, Brad.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Yeah, really nice to have another body, and I know it's helpful for everybody to see. So,
Yeah.
And there could be no better.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys, we'll see you on the mat. Take care.